two people get the exact same paycheck, same job, same city, same $65,000 salary. 10 years later, one of them has $80,000 saved. The other has almost nothing. Same income, completely different outcome. That gap isn't luck. It isn't even really about how much they earned. It's about a set of rules nobody sat either of them down and explained. Rules that quietly decide who builds wealth and who stays stuck. Stick around, because by the end of this, you're going to see your own paycheck differently. Picture your own direct deposit hitting your account right now. Rent comes out, groceries come out, maybe a car payment.
What's left over is what everyone calls extra money. But here's the wild part. That leftover pile is where almost every rule about getting rich actually lives. Most people never get taught a single one of these rules. Not in high school, not in college, not at their first job orientation. So they play a financial game with hidden rules against people who already know them. Let's start with the first invisible rule, and it's a big one. The tax code does not treat all money the same way. Money you earn from a job is called earned income. Money your investments earn while you sleep is called capital gains. And the government taxes those two very differently. As of 2026, wages can be taxed up to 37% at the federal level. Long-term investment gains on assets you've held over a year top out at 20%. That's a huge gap. It means a dollar earned by working can be taxed almost twice as hard as a dollar earned by owning. Before we go further, let's quickly understand what capital gains actually are. A capital gain is the profit you make when an asset you own goes up in value and you sell it. Say you buy stock for $1,000 and later sell it for $1,500. That $500 profit is your capital gain. It exists because you own something, not because you clocked in. The government taxes it lower to encourage long-term investing.
The catch is you need money to invest in the first place, and a lot of Americans never get that first dollar into the system. Think about Jeff Bezos for a second. Amazon's stock price is public information, and it's grown enormous amounts since the company's early years. Anyone who bought shares decades ago and simply held them saw massive gains, taxed at the lower capital gains rate. Meanwhile, an Amazon warehouse worker earning an hourly wage during that same stretch paid ordinary income tax on every single paycheck. Same company, two completely different tax worlds, depending on whether your money comes from a wage or from ownership. This is where money psychology sneaks in. When most people get extra cash, the instinct is to upgrade something. A nicer apartment, a better car, delivery instead of cooking. Psychologists call this lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most common reasons income and wealth don't move together. You might be doing this right now without even noticing. The people who build wealth aren't always the highest earners. They're often the ones who kept their lifestyle flat while their income grew and funneled the difference into ownership instead of consumption.
Which brings us to rule number 2. Time is the single most valuable asset you have, and almost nobody tells you that at 20. This is where we need a quick mini lesson on compound interest. Compound interest means your money earns returns, and then those returns start earning their own returns. It snowballs. Imagine you invest $200 a month starting at age 25, earning a historical stock market average return. By 65, that could realistically grow past $500,000. Wait until 35 to start the exact same $200 a month, and you could end up with less than half that amount. Same monthly amount, same return. The only difference is when you started. Here's a number worth sitting with. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of consumer finances, the median American household holds a net worth around $192,000. Before you react to that number, let's define it. Net worth just means everything you own minus everything you owe. Your savings, your home, your retirement accounts, minus your credit card balance, your student loans, your car loan. It's your real financial position, not just your income. And that $192,000 median hides something important. Fed data also shows the top 1% of households hold roughly a third of all household wealth in America. That's not because the top 1% works a third of all the hours in the country. It's because they own a disproportionate share of appreciating assets. Let's teach another term real quick, because you'll need it. An appreciating asset. That's anything that tends to grow in value over time, like stocks, index funds, or real estate in most markets. Compare that to a depreciating asset, like a brand new car, which loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. Wealthy households tend to hold more of the first kind. Everyday paychecks tend to get spent on the second kind. That single distinction, appreciating versus depreciating, quietly shapes an enormous amount of the wealth gap in this country. Now here's rule number 3. and it might be sitting inside your own paycheck right now without you realizing it. The employer match. If your job offers a 401k, many employers will match a portion of what you contribute, often up to somewhere around 4 to 6% of your salary. That match is free money. It's part of your compensation you're simply choosing not to collect if you don't participate. Companies like Vanguard and Charles Schwab manage huge numbers of these retirement accounts, and their own research consistently shows the same finding. People who never opt in are leaving guaranteed returns on the table before their investments even grow a single dollar. Would you leave a bonus on the table if your boss handed it to you in cash? Probably not, but that's exactly what skipping your 401k match does. Most Americans never realize this is happening every single pay period.
Let's connect this to a mini lesson on index funds, since they're central to how ordinary people actually build wealth. An index fund is a single investment that holds tiny pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies at once, instead of betting on just one stock. Firms like Vanguard and BlackRock built entire business models around making this simple for regular investors. The appeal is diversification. If one company struggles, your entire investment doesn't collapse with it. Historically, broad U.S. stock index funds have delivered strong long-term average returns, though, of course, as with any investment, past performance never guarantees future results, and markets can and do decline. Rule number 4 is quieter, and it's about access to cheap money. Your credit score determines the interest rate you're offered on almost everything: a car loan, a mortgage, sometimes even an apartment application. A higher score can mean a dramatically lower interest rate on a home loan. Over a 30-year mortgage, even a single percentage point of difference can add up to tens of thousands of dollars. That's the credit score gap. Two people can buy the identical house and pay wildly different total amounts. Just based on a 3-digit number, most people never learn how to actually build. Here's a mini lesson on that. A credit score is calculated from things like your payment history, how much debt you're using compared to your limits, and how long you've had credit. A common mistake is thinking you need to carry a balance and pay interest to build a good score. You don't. You just need to use credit responsibly and pay on time. People with strong credit histories get offered better rates everywhere. That's cheaper debt, which means more of their money stays theirs instead of going to a bank.
Rule number 5 might be the most overlooked one of all: home equity. For a huge share of middle-class American families, their house is their single biggest asset. Data from the National Association of Realtors and Federal Reserve figures consistently show real estate makes up a massive share of net worth for middle-income households, often more than stocks or retirement accounts combined. Every mortgage payment you make builds what's called equity, your ownership stake in the property. Renters don't build that. They pay a landlord's mortgage instead of their own. That's not a judgment. Renting makes sense in plenty of situations. It's just one more example of a rule that quietly compounds for owners and doesn't exist at all for renters. Now, let's talk about the rule almost nobody wants to say out loud: information and access. Wealthy families are far more likely to have a financial advisor, an estate attorney, or simply a parent who already understands how taxes, investing, and credit work. That knowledge gets passed down at the dinner table for free. Economists like Thomas Piketty have spent entire careers studying how wealth tends to concentrate and pass between generations over time, precisely because owned assets grow faster than wages typically do. That's not a conspiracy. It's a documented pattern in how capital behaves compared to labor.
Meanwhile, plenty of Americans are figuring all of this out completely alone for the first time as adults, often after already making a few expensive mistakes. That's not a personal failure. That's a system that never handed out the instruction manual evenly. So where does that leave you? Here's the actionable part. You don't need a trust fund to start using these same rules. Start with the free money first. If your job offers a 401k match, aim to contribute at least enough to capture the full match. Next, automate a small amount into a diversified investment, like a broad index fund, so time can start compounding in your favor today instead of next year. Build your credit by paying on time and keeping your balances low, not by carrying debt. And resist the urge to inflate your lifestyle every time your income rises. Even a modest gap between what you earn and what you spend, redirected into ownership instead of consumption, is the exact mechanism wealthy households have used for generations.
To be clear, this isn't personal financial advice tailored to your specific situation. Everyone's circumstances are different, and it's worth talking to a licensed financial professional before making major decisions. But the pattern itself isn't a secret anymore. Many financial educators point to the same core idea. It's not primarily about how much you earn, it's about which side of these rules your money ends up sitting on. That's the real invisible rule behind who gets rich in America. It was never just about working harder. It's about understanding a system that rewards ownership over labor, patience over impulse, and starting early over starting big. The next time your paycheck hits your account, you're going to look at that leftover number completely differently. And that shift right there is where it actually starts. If this changed how you think about your own money, hit like, drop a comment with the rule that surprised you most, and subscribe for the next hidden truth about where your money really goes.